But let's get into the next 5 in my top 100 films here. I'm going to be running down 90 through 86, which is next 5. I like to say this beginning before I run down every 5, just for a disclaimer for all these movies. All these films have the movie magic. All of them I recommend highly. All of them I love. I'm not going to be doing like an in-depth review on each of them. I'm just going to be like talking, running down like the title of the film, maybe the synopsis, like maybe kind of what it's about if it's kind of an obscure, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it. But if it's like a really popular classic, I'm probably not going to talk about what it's about, and I might describe some aspects that I love about it and whether or not it might move up in the list or move down or get bumped out of the list. We'll see. So, yeah, without further ado, number 90, we're getting out of the 90s. We have Raging Bull. That's right. It came out in 1980. Raging Bull, classic Scorsese film. Possibly, arguably, Robert De Niro's best performance of all time. I don't know. I would have to think about that, but I mean, I'm sure there's an argument to be made that this might be his best performance. A story of violence and how someone a rise and a fall of our hero, and just like what brings him up and what brings him down, and how a character it's a great character study of how someone deals with that, and having person's life just kind of get crumbled down from around him. And one of Martin Scorsese's best. As you probably know, Martin Scorsese is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. I mean, I'm talking some of my favorite films, and this one included because it's in my top 100, obviously. Got my Batman mug. But, yeah. I mean, also, other supporting actors in this as well. I mean, Kathy Moriarty, Joe Pesci's in it, Frank Vincent, he's been in a lot of Martin Scorsese mob films. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's phenomenal. I don't really think I need to rationalize why I love Raging Bull, because it's a classic. I mean, it has 93% on Rotten Tomatoes if you care about that. But Raging Bull, number 90, it's the shit. If you haven't watched it, check it out. You might like it. Will this rise or fall on my list? I don't think it's going to rise, because it's definitely not my favorite Scorsese film, and I never really find myself rewatching Raging Bull a lot. But I mean, it's a very memorable experience when you watch it, though. So I don't know. I don't think this will be falling out of my list, but I don't think it will be rising either. I think it's 90s kind of a good spot for it in my opinion. So, number 89 in my top 100, we have another classic. There's a decent amount of classics on here, at least these first 3. But for number 89, we have Apocalypse Now. Came out in 1979, which is a decent long time ago. We got a drama, mystery, war film. I don't know why I said that. I just read it off of IMDb, but we have a long one. Raging Bull's kind of long, but Apocalypse Now is even longer. Classic war film, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, one of the greatest war films of all time. I'm sure an argument can be made by this one and Platoon, but Apocalypse Now is classic. Martin Sheen stars Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Classic line. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola. He's the guy who did the Godfather movies. But Martin Sheen's never been better in anything. Even Marlon Brando is phenomenal. And if you know anything about the production of this one, I know I forget what the title of the documentary is about the production of this film, but I've never watched it, but I've read things about the production. I've heard things about the production of this film, and it was not an easy one. So if you've seen this film, first, if you haven't seen this film, watch it. It is a disturbing one. It's a hard film to watch, and again, if I would choose like like Apocalypse Now or Raging Bull, I might choose Raging Bull to watch, but because this one's pretty. I mean, it's about Vietnam War and it's about how people can get consumed by it and how it can emotionally disturb people. All just war itself, and yeah, it's quite insane. I'm not going to go over the synopsis of the film. If you haven't seen Apocalypse Now, just watch it. You should watch Apocalypse Now. But yeah, this is probably one of the highest rated ones on here. 98% Rotten Tomatoes score, deservingly so. It's probably one of the best war films of all time. I would probably say it's the best Vietnam War film of all time. But yeah, if you haven't heard about the production of this one, it's very interesting. Like Marlon Brando shows up to the set overweight and doesn't know any of his lines, so he actually had to have like them read to him. I'm pretty sure that like scene where he's giving that monologue, the horror, like that whole monologue, I'm pretty sure was just read to him. But like he still kills it, which is hilarious. I mean, that just speaks to how amazing Marlon Brando was. I mean, he could do that, I guess. He could just be a lazy piece of shit and just, show up overweight and fucking not know any of his lines. But yeah, fantastic film. Will this rise? Probably not. Will it fall? Has a chance to, mainly because of the rewatchability. I don't feel, again, like kind of like Raging Bull, but even more so. I don't really find myself rewatching this one. It's kind of like in that sort of category of like Requiem for a Dream, 12 Years a Slave type of films that are just kind of a little too emotionally disturbing to really rewatch. But I mean, like when you watch it, you're like, that was a phenomenal film. It's kind of like one of those. But I mean, this is a classic. It's a classic film, filled with amazing performances, amazingly shot. Yeah. Another fun fact. What's his name? Lawrence Fishburne, he co-stars in the film, actually lied about his age to be in the film, which is kind of cool because people lied about their age to go to war, which I thought was pretty interesting. So, fun fact, Lawrence Fishburne is so young in this one. I'm pretty sure he's like 17 or something like that. But yeah, very cool. So, next, number 88, another classic, but switching gears a little bit, we have Aladdin, like Disney animated feature Aladdin, the classic one, not the fucking live action bullshit that they're doing, the actual animation Aladdin made in 1992. It's a classic. I mean, Robin Williams as the genie is like, oh my god, like I don't know why they didn't just animate the genie in the live action when Will Smith is the genie. I mean, I don't want to hate on Will Smith because I love Will Smith and I know he probably did a lot of work for that live action role, but like, fuck off. Like, get the fuck out of here. I didn't hear anything about Aladdin. I didn't see it. I'm not fucking paying to see those live action fucking movies. Like, just don't. If there's any announcement, just don't go see those because it's just Disney kind of being fucking lazy and remaking the same fucking shit just in live action and selling it to you, and it makes a shit ton of money, and it kind of bothers me a little bit, and they're not even that good. They're not even good. Like, just watch the original. Just watch Aladdin, the animated Aladdin. Like, what? Just say to yourself, would you rather watch the live action version of Aladdin or the animated version of Aladdin? Come on, like, Jesus. It's just a money play. That's all Disney is now, which is a shame, but part of the reason why Star Wars is kind of tanking, but that's a discussion for another episode. Watch my very first episode ever. It's terrible audio quality, terrible video quality, but I think I have some pretty good points in there about the Star Wars franchise. Number 87. Oh, it's actually kind of weird. This film actually has an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's number 87 on my list. That's really weird. Okay, I'm really creeped out now. But anyway, touching that this is also a very creepy movie. 28 Days Later. If you're unfamiliar with 28 Days Later, it stars Cillian Murphy. It's directed by Danny Boyle, who also did, what else? I think he did Trainspotting. He directed 127 Hours, Slumdog Millionaire. Trainspotting. It's written by Alex Garland. He wrote this movie. He wrote a hard sci-fi film called Sunshine, which is also starring Cillian Murphy. He also directed Ex Machina and recently Annihilation, two phenomenal hard sci-fi films that I highly recommend. And I wouldn't be surprised if either of those kind of cheat their way into this list in the future as I watch them watch them even more over time. But he wrote and Danny Boyle directed, stars Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris. What's his name? Hold on. Why is he not Brendan Gleeson? The guy who plays Mad Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films. He's in it. Definitely an incredibly intense experience. It's about a guy who wakes up from a hospital and a zombie apocalypse happened. Sound familiar? Yes. If you're thinking of The Walking Dead, well, if this film didn't exist, neither would The Walking Dead, because the creator of the comic book of The Walking Dead says, my primary influence was 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later is actually a very huge pioneer in the whole zombie apocalypse genre, because pretty much before 28 Days Later, every single zombie film was always when the apocalypse was happening. As soon as it was happening, the day of, oh shit, zombies are here, what the hell are we gonna do? This one is the first one that kind of tells what happens after that. Time has passed since this apocalypse have happened, and these zombies, or these rage virus zombies have been around for a while. You don't really know how long, at least not, I don't remember, but it's the first zombie or apocalypse film that kind of deals with the life after, what happens after. And maybe, these zombies are not the only thing you have to worry about. You might have to worry about other people, because, people who survive this thing might, not be the best kind of people. All the nice people are dead. So that's kind of the, why The Walking Dead is so good, is because of this film. This film is incredibly intense. I think it's probably the most intense and scary zombies have ever been. I mean, maybe unless, you're talking The Last of Us. The Last of Us is pretty fucking scary. But, I mean, this one, zombies run. They fucking run at you. They're called rage zombies, where basically these zombies just have this, heightened, emotion of rage that they just want to kill you and eat you, basically. And their eyes are all red and shit, and it's very scary. There's a lot of amazingly scary moments. Again, it's not the best looking film, kind of like 71 was, but the acting and the shots and just atmosphere of the film really are amazing, and I would highly recommend it. If zombie movies aren't your thing, I guess stay clear of this one, but I mean, this is probably the best zombie film ever made. So yeah, check this one out. It's amazing. Will it rise and fall in the future? Possibly, but I think 87 is probably a good spot for it. And since the Rotten Tomatoes score is 87%, I think it's fitting for it to be number 87. So, final film for the day here. Number 86, we have Training Day. So, yeah, he directed by Antoine Fuqua, written by David Ayer. He also wrote and directed End of Watch, which is another phenomenal movie, but it stars Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke's sort of kind of like a rookie type of police officer. Denzel's the veteran. He's kind of showing him around, and the entire narrative of this one is told in one day. It is a one-day affair from the morning to the late hours of the night. It's probably one of the most intense cop movies I've ever seen. I think there's an argument to be made that it's my favorite Denzel Washington performance of all time. It's one of the best villain performances of all time. King Kong ain't got shit on me. It's amazing. It's just amazing. One of the best death scenes I've ever seen. They're both cops in L.A. It kind of gives you an in on how corrupt these cops could be. Running like drug rings of their own and shit. But it's a phenomenal film. I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score. It has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I thought was kind of surprising. But I mean, whatever. It's Rotten Tomatoes. It doesn't really fucking matter. It means nothing to me. But again, really intense, visceral experience. It's kind of like a constant theme. I don't know. I really like intense, visceral experiences. I might be just a little bit sick in the head, but hey, you know what? I have my taste, guys. All right, I got my taste. Shut the fuck up. All right, get off my ass. All right, I gave you an animated film, a Disney animated film. All right, I have a wide range of tastes. I literally can watch anything. But anyway, Training Day. Probably my favorite Denzel performance. It's very suspenseful. It's amazing. Ethan Hawke is phenomenal. Ethan Hawke is underrated, in my opinion. I think he's such a phenomenal actor. He should be in more shit, but whatever. Ethan Hawke is he's not the greatest, but I mean, he's amazing. Came out in 2001, Training Day, directed by Antoine Fuqua. What else did Fuqua direct? I know he's directed other things. Let's see if my thing will load. Directed The Equalizer, I guess. I think Training Day is probably his biggest film, which I think is true. But, will this rise and fall? I don't think it's going to rise. I think, if anything, it might fall in my list. I was thinking about it again. I mean, I love Training Day, but I don't know if I love it this number 86 much ahead of, some of these films like 28 Days Later, Apocalypse Now, Raging Bull, Aladdin. I don't know. We'll see. But, my list is what it is now, and it might change in the future. But, it's 100 films, guys. Like, chill the fuck out. My things change. I think like I said, once I get to 50, that's pretty much set in stone. Those rankings are a little pretty set in stone. But anyway, that's my next 5. That's number 90 through 86 of my top 100, guys.